Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Daily Bullet. My name is Paul Lathrop. I'm the Deputy Director of New Media for the Second Amendment Foundation. Joining me today, John Richardson. John is the guy behind OnlyGunsAndMoney.com, and he's been on the show here before. He's a regular co-host with me on the Polite Society podcast. John, thanks for joining today, man.
Well, thanks for having me. I know we have a lot to discuss.
Oh man, you aren't kidding. Let's actually, we're gonna go ahead and kick that off right away, and we'll get to social media commentary here in just a second. But one that I definitely want to talk to is an article that got put up on USA Today, and Alan Gottlieb actually brought this one to my attention. Gun groups' success blocking local firearm controls leaves town desperate to stop massacres. Well, that one was written. It was co-written by a reporter from The Trace, and let's just say USA Today isn't known for its pro-Second Amendment stance anyway. So,
Exactly.
but what I got out of this one, yeah, Alan Gottlieb was quoted in there quite a bit, but what I got out of that article is that we've been successful in stopping a lot of gun control by statewide preemption in a good number of states.
And, it's something that's needed. Especially if you look at states with a lot of small towns, if you were to have a different gun law from every little town, you could never keep up. And that's why there is firearms preemption. That's why Knife Rights is working to get knife preemption laws so that it's consistent around the entire state. And it only makes sense. It is an issue of statewide importance.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it helps. I could only imagine if states like Illinois, where there would just be, if there were not statewide preemption, there would just be an absolute patchwork of you can carry here, you can't carry there. You can't even bring the gun with you here because they'd even go against federal regulations and say you couldn't even keep it locked and out of the reach of the driver. You'd have to have it, you'd have to leave it totally outside the county or city, and just you wouldn't be able to keep tabs with all of it.
Oh, no. And, I think the ultimate goal by having that patchwork of laws is to make it so hard to own a gun that people just give up. And by doing that, eventually their goal is to kill the gun culture. People who want to defend themselves, people who want to go hunting, people who just want to go plinking. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, I'll do something else. It makes no sense. I mean, it makes sense from their point of view.
Right.
And my point, and the other thing to look at it is, if it works so well in Chicago or Philadelphia or any of the other places that are clamoring for local preemption, why are their crime rates that much higher?
Exactly.
If they've actually, until the shall issue concealed carry bill was passed in Illinois, you did not have statewide preemption. That brought in statewide preemption, and the only existing local changes had to be if you were a home rule city and you had adopted prior to the bill, you could keep it. Mm-hmm. But even still, a lot of them didn't do the enabling legislation. Therefore, you had statewide preemption. You look at Chicago. They want to be their own state. And moreover, they want to control the rest of the state.
That's exactly it. They don't necessarily want to be their own state. They want to have control of Illinois.
And if you go downstate, it's an entirely different world.
Oh, yeah.
Peoria, Springfield, Metropolis. That is not Chicago. You have wide open plains, mm-hmm. farms everywhere, bean fields that are 2 miles wide, which always makes me laugh at their restrictions on if you go deer hunting, you have to use a shotgun.
Yeah. I consider anything south of I-80 not Chicago anymore. I consider anything west of, I would say I-39, but there's actually a lot of not Chicago east of I-39 too. But Chicago, it's hugely densely populated, but it's a very small portion of the state.
Oh, it is. Very much so, but though they hold about 40% of the population or more within Cook County alone, and then you have the surrounding suburban counties that quite often are influenced by Chicago. But, more importantly, if you look at Boulder itself, which tried to have their own assault weapons ban, the young murderer, and I won't say his name, he didn't live in the city. He didn't live in Boulder. He lived in Arvada, which is another suburb of Denver. Mm-hmm. He just ignored the law.
He did.
There's a law against murder, after all.
Well, yeah, and he broke that law 10 times, plus a whole bunch of other laws. But and I want to go off on that. It's been long enough that we know a few details about that. That one thing I want to bring up is that this, if the gun control people, they say that red flag laws work. If they worked, you know what? Colorado's got one. And red flag laws will only work. And then there, even beyond that, there is, and I'm going to try and find it here real quick. There is something called the Baker Act, where you can have somebody committed for a short period of time, and they can be evaluated. And all 50 states have this. There are things that could have been done, but the family didn't want to harm the poor precious little flower and bruise his ego, and there are 10 dead because of it. And if red flag laws worked, there wouldn't be 10 dead.
I agree with you fully, because it was from his own family that was saying he had been showing paranoid tendencies. Mm-hmm. And I can't necessarily say that this was jihadi related, but the interesting fact that somebody passed on to me was, if he was acting as a lone wolf, it happened on the same day that ISIS attacked Brussels 5 years ago. It happened on the same day some ISIS supporter attacked London 4 years ago. It was on those anniversaries. Now, I'm not saying because he was born in Syria that he was a supporter of ISIS. I'm just saying, from what we know, he was getting very disgruntled, and we know he hated Trump. Yeah, we do know that. I want to bring in some social media commentary. This one just popped. DJ Plata's Nice says 72-hour evaluation, not red flags. You're absolutely right, DJ Plata Nice, and let me expound on that a little bit. The only thing a red flag law does is take the guns. And while guns are lethal weapons, so are cars, pickup trucks, gas cans full of gasoline and a butane lighter. There's a lot of things. If somebody wants to create mayhem, there's a lot of things besides a gun they can use to do it with. So, yeah. You're absolute. The ISIS attack in London, it was a guy drove through traffic and just started going after pedestrians like they were bowling pins. Right. He used his car. Right. Big John 410 over on YouTube. One thing is for sure, Joe Biden won't be asked about the fact that his administration bombed Syria just before the Colorado supermarket mass shooting. Now, I want to make clear, we're not saying this guy is a jihadist. We're not saying that he did key off of the bombing of Syria. I'm not saying that at all. Period. What I am saying is the media is so in Joe Biden's pocket that will never come up.
Go ahead.
Other thing that they're not going to bring up, and we were talking about Colorado law. One of the things that Biden and the Democrats are really pushing right now are universal background checks.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what state has universal background checks since 2013 for all sales, public and private? Colorado.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And that has not been repealed.
And matter of fact, I don't even know if I have it here yet or not. I may. Let me look. I'm going to see if I have. No, I don't. Shoot. I had the Giffords Law Center rankings of Colorado, of the states. And I think Colorado ranked very high. Not as high as New York, New Jersey, but it did rank high in their state rankings.
Absolutely. And the other thing that Democrats are trying are standard capacity magazines.
Right.
Well, for the last 7+ years, they've had a magazine essentially banned. Why do you think Magpul left Colorado?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Let's see here. Warsaw Patriot says more people have been stabbed by knives than getting shot by a gun. I'm going to add a few more here. More people die by knives. Think of how many knives are in the country compared to guns. And now Warsaw Patriot, our good friend Doug Ritter over at Knife Rights will tell you there's knife laws all over the United States, and if the gun control people get their way, we're going to see something like Britain, where we've got voluntary knife turn-ins. I'm not kidding. They are going after knives in Britain. Yeah. And okay, here we go. Jacob over on Facebook says Giffords ranked Colorado a C+. So there you have that. I really wish the Giffords organization had an F-. I'd really shoot for South Dakota to become a part of that.
Well, I mean, F- would be an A+ in our mind.
Exactly. All right. But yeah, as far as Colorado, I think the only thing more we can really say about that is that it's still early. We know a little bit, but the one thing I'll say, one thing more I want to say about this is an unusual mass shooting. They got the guy alive and arrested him, and he's going to face a trial. So
yes, he is.
That's rare in these circumstances. Most mass killers take their own life when they're confronted. So
you're absolutely right.
Let's see here. Ryan Davis. I'm not going to pop these up because it's just easier just to pop them off here right now because I'm going to get to several. Ryan says more people die in stair accidents than by guns. I don't know if that's true or not, but I think that Biden may want to be aware of that. He's got some issues with stairs. Japan has a knife and swords ban, George Geller says. And let's see here. Slow Joe, yeah, Ryan just came back. Slow Joe of all should know how much more dangerous stairs are than guns. So, okay, I want to go off on one more tangent here, John. You posted something really cool today about, I don't even know if it was today or if it was yesterday, but you posted about a really good experience you had. I'm not going to steal your thunder. I'll let you do it.
Well, years ago at a gun show, I bought a Browning A-bolt, and it had what was called the BOSS system. I think it translates the Browning optimization, whatever. It controls the vibrations, whatever. It's supposed to make it more accurate. But it was also a muzzle brake. So if you know anything about muzzle brakes, they're not usually liked that much when you're at the range. In other words, they're really loud and the concussion goes sideways. Well, I happen to find out that they make something called the Boss-CR, which is the same, it gives the same optimization minus the muzzle brake. And so I start looking on eBay and Gun Broker, etc. And I'm starting looking, and I actually bought one. Unfortunately, it wasn't the right one. And I'm starting to look at the packages online, and I was like, wait a minute, they're all specific to each caliber in each gun. I'm like, damn. So I sent an email to Browning and asked, is it true that they're specific to the firearm? And they came back to me and said, yes, they are. And then they turned around and said, and we would be happy to send you one free of charge if you'll just give us your address.
Nice.
And this is something, it's a part that could go for $40-ish. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought that was really nice. I'm not even the original owner of the gun. And it was just, they were really good about it. And yeah. I appreciate it. Oh, and by the way, I'll have another one for sale on eBay soon because it doesn't fit my rifle. But the right one will be arriving.
Very, very cool. Very cool. I'm trying to think of what else, because we're 16 minutes in and we can do up to 30. Anything else we should be talking about?
Well, I think Tom Gresham had a tweet this morning on Twitter, and he's right. We need to be calling our senators, both of them, mm-hmm. especially if they're Republicans, or if you might live in Arizona or you live in West Virginia, there's Manchin and Sistema, mm-hmm. and say, we don't need universal background checks, and we most certainly don't need an assault weapons ban because it just doesn't work. Because it's like what you were talking about with red flag laws. It's not going to remove the firearms.
No, not at all.
The gun ban, grandfathers everything existing in. It just impacts new sales and transfers later down the road.
Excuse me. If I were a selfish guy, I would kind of be for the banning because that would make what I own worth a hell of a lot more. Yeah, John, you remember back when we had the 94 assault weapons ban, what 30-round mags were going for? Because you couldn't build them anymore. You could only buy the ones that were already in existence.
Or even normal capacity magazines for a Glock.
Right.
I mean, if you live in Massachusetts, you are still looking for those normal capacity magazines for your AR and your Glock because those are the only ones you can own.
Right. And the prices were just through the roof. I mean, if we were to get a magazine capacity limit or a ban on ARs, stuff I have is going to be worth a lot more. Now, I'd probably never sell it anyway, but yeah, it's how do I put this? It didn't work then. It won't work this time, is I guess where I was trying to get to.
If anything, the assault weapons ban in 94 exploded. The demand for ARs and AKs just exploded. When you tell people you cannot have something and they may not have been interested in it, it's like, well, maybe I need to buy one. And they did.
Yeah.
You have companies that companies that would sell accessories so that you could change it. So you didn't have to, have a neutered gun. I mean, I still have a Daewoo with the thumb hole stock on it.
All right. I'm just being showed something by my wife here. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit just ruled there is no right to carry either concealed or openly in public. Wow. Ruling impacts Alaska, Hawaii, California, Arizona, Oregon, Washington, and Montana.
Believe it or not, the chief judge of the Ninth Circuit is from Montana. Is very anti-gun. So when you have a 3-judge panel of the Ninth Circuit that rules with a good Second Amendment ruling, he's the one who pushes it to an en banc review. And since you can't have all the judges sit,
Yeah. I want to get a couple of social media comments in here. Gerald says Glock mags were $125. Let's see here, and he also says, I bought my first Glock in 1994 just before the law took effect. I hope you still have that, Gerald. Some of those early Glocks, they're getting to be worth some money. Trying to find a Gen 1 or a Gen 2 Glock is a little tough. Gen 2s are around. You can get them. Gen 1 Glocks are really rare. Stephanie has a great comment. Speaking about the Ninth Circuit, maybe they need to vote another judge in. Yeah, and I'm gonna get one more, and then I want to get one more comment in, and then I'm gonna go off on it too. I just gotta find where it was. It just passed through here. Diane Houston, here it is, said, please call your senators. It only takes a couple minutes of your time. Call or email once a week. I had a conversation with a friend, been a very long time friend of mine today, and talking about our senators here in South Dakota, John Thune and Mike Rounds, and I made the comment to him, look, you need to call, and he says, well, I don't think it's going to do any good. I'm not sure John Thune is aware of who he represents anymore. And my comment back to him was, he certainly isn't going to be aware of it if you don't call and tell him what to do. Now, John Thune, I honestly believe, is firmly pro-Second Amendment. He's multiple times for a number of years tried to get national reciprocity passed. Darn near got it done in the Obama administration. I don't think John Thune's a problem. I don't think Mike Rounds is a problem, but I've still called them to encourage them to fight for our Second Amendment rights.
Yeah, I just pulled up the Ninth Circuit opinion, and it's 215 pages.
Holy! Wow.
Now, that also includes the dissents. Dermot O'Scanlan, who I think wrote the original, it's called, the case is Young versus Hawaii. And he wrote the original opinion that then now has been overturned. But there were 2 dissents, so 2 written dissents. So I don't know how many judges joined that, but I see this going to the Supreme Court.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is not done. And at the risk of sounding like a commercial, my boss Alan Gottlieb won't let it be done. If you're, and I'm going to go ahead and plug my boss. If you are not a member of the Second Amendment Foundation, we are the single most effective organization in the United States over the past 30 years suing state and federal government and local governments to get our gun rights back. Our good friend Rob Morse told me one time that when I got introduced to the SAF, he says, when you absolutely positively need to sue everyone in the room overnight, you go to the SAF. And that's what we do, is we sue to make sure when everything else fails, we get it back through the courts. And we're very good at it. So please, if you're not a member of the SAF, it's $150 for a lifetime membership. Please join. Please, yeah, it's $10 for a 1-year membership. Please, SAF.org. All right.
I'm a life member.
Yes. Yes, I think everybody on staff is. If not, they should be.
They should be.
Let's see here. Looking at through comments. You know what? I think we're just going to kind of let this one rest from here. We're almost at 30 minutes. I want to get one more social media comment in, just self-serving here. Gene says, "Hi, Paul. Really enjoyed listening to you this past weekend at the Floor Carry event. God, I had a great time doing that. That was a blast. First time I've ever, I mean, I do podcasts all the time. I've done some kind of emceeing for AmCon at the very first one, but I only did that in the morning. This is the first time I've ever emceed an event, start to finish, handled it all myself. I just had a riot and really, really, really enjoyed doing that. If you look at the Polite Society, if you want to see the event, it's over on the Polite Society podcast on their Facebook page. I streamed it. It was a really low-tech setup. I put my cell phone on a tripod and I put go live. And that was the event. So if you're interested in the Florida Carry event, it's all over there. We were inside a building. Cell phone with service was a little sketchy, so it's not like you're watching here, but go watch it. Let's see. I think John, we're going to go ahead and we're going to set this one aside, man. I think we've gone through everything we need to.
Alrighty.
Can you think of anything else we need to talk about, bud?
Well, the comment you just got from Gene Simmons, I presume that's not Gene Simmons of the band Kiss.
Oh, I'm going to assume it is. Because, I want the really big name followers, I'm waiting for Uncle Ted Nugent to comment next.
There you go.
I'm not going to hold my breath for it, but I'm waiting. All right, folks. We are going to go ahead and set it aside here. I want to thank you for watching. Come join us again, 5 p.m. Central Time tomorrow. We'll do another